This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
Today, we're diving into one of the strangest fraud cases you'll ever hear about. It's the story of a fast food employee at Wendy's who collected a paycheck for nearly a full year. The only problem? He wasn't even a real person.
So, that's the big question, right? How in the world can someone who literally doesn't exist get paid for 128 shifts? It sounds totally impossible, but it really happened. So let's break down exactly how this scheme was pulled off.
To really understand how this all went down, we have to start with the main character in this story. The only issue is, he wasn't real.
So let's meet William Bright. On paper, he was a totally legitimate employee at a Wendy's in Pennsylvania. I mean, he had a name, a work schedule, regular paychecks coming in. The one tiny detail he was missing was, well, an actual existence.
And this is where it gets absolutely wild. The sheer scale of this phantom's career is just staggering. Over the course of almost a year, William Bright was logged for 128 shifts. He got paid across 22 different pay periods, all from this one single restaurant. The number of times he actually showed up to work? You guessed it, a big fat 0.
So what was the final tally for all that not working? A very real salary of almost $20,000. That's a lot of cash for someone who never flipped a single burger.
Okay, so if William Bright wasn't real, who was cashing those checks? It's time to uncover the mastermind who orchestrated what seemed like the perfect crime.
Turns out, the investigation didn't have to look very far. The mastermind was Linda Johnson, the general manager of that very same Wendys. She was the one person with enough access and authority to actually bring a phantom employee to life.
You know, this specific type of fraud actually has a name. It's called a ghost employee scheme. It's a classic form of payroll fraud where someone just invents a person, adds them to the payroll, and then funnels those fraudulent wages to themselves. It's a known risk, especially in industries with high turnover where there might be less oversight. And her method was surprisingly simple, really just a 4-step process. First, she created a completely fake employee profile for William Bright in the system. Second, she would just manually enter and approve work shifts for him. Third, she authorized the payroll payments. And finally, the most important step, she had all that money sent directly to her own personal bank account. And this is the key to the entire scheme. As the general manager, Linda Johnson had the unique power to manually override the system and approve shifts. Nobody else could do it, which meant nobody was checking her work. Her position of trust was the very tool she used to commit the fraud.
The whole scheme worked perfectly for nearly a year. But every plan has a weakness, so how did this ghost finally get busted? The end didn't come from an anonymous tip or a suspicious coworker. It came from the numbers themselves. The company conducted a forensic financial audit, a really deep dive into the books, and that's when they noticed a weird anomaly. It was like a financial black hole that, when they investigated, led them straight to William Bright. Now, the timeline of this crime is pretty remarkable. The scheme ran for 11 months, from June of 2021 all the way to May of 2022. But get this, it took almost another full year for the company's audit to even uncover the fraud. Johnson didn't confess until April 2023, with formal charges following that July.
So what happens when you're caught red-handed orchestrating a year-long deception with a fake employee? Let's take a look at the aftermath for Linda Johnson. When she was finally confronted with all the evidence, Johnson confessed to everything. She admitted she just invented William Bright out of thin air. Her justification for it all? She said she was struggling financially and needed the extra money to take care of her kids.
The legal consequences were, of course, serious. She was charged with felony theft by deception. After turning herself in, she was released on a $2,500 unsecured bail to await her trial.
You know, the takeaway from this entire saga is a powerful one. It's a huge reminder that the most damaging thefts don't always involve weapons or getaway cars. Sometimes, all it really takes is a position of trust, a fake name, and a signature. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other ghosts are hiding in the payroll systems we interact with every single day?